rose dresser. No label, just a smell that meant something. Spritzed it once without thinking, and lost an entire afternoon to memory. Settled into the reading chair with something long, the kind of book that asks you to slow down. Rain against the glass doing the percussion, and the perfume doing something harder to name. Honey, certain combinations of smell and light can stop a whole day in its tracks, and that's allowed. Perfume and paperbacks, the afternoon going soft at the edges. Swing into the haze, let the pages turn themselves. Dee-doo-wah, lavender, an old paper, and a chapter that just keeps giving, just like this. Nowhere else exists right now, so read. The cat installed himself across my feet, which made leaving impossible, and that was fine. Found a pressed flower between pages 42 and 3 from someone's summer I'll never know anything about. Darling, other people's memories pressed into books have a way of becoming a little bit yours. Perfume and paperbacks, the afternoon going soft at the edges. Swing into the haze, let the pages turn themselves. Dee-doo-wah, lavender, an old paper, and a chapter that just keeps giving, just like this. Nowhere else exists right now, so read. Sha-la-la, 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 sha-la-la-la-la-la. Sha-la-la-la-la, sha-la-la, sha-la-la. Fell asleep somewhere around chapter 9. The book still open, like it was waiting. Perfume and paperbacks, come back to the chair whenever the world gets too loud. Keep on swinging, baby. The best escapes smell like lavender and cost nothing. Dee-doo-wah, back in that same chair, same light, same cat, same page, same haze. Old perfume and borrowed afternoons and grace. Woke up at dusk, still smelling of her dresser. Perfume and paperbacks, page marked, page marked. Found the corner table empty on a Wednesday, slid in like I'd been saving it my whole life. Ordered something warm and opened nothing. Just sat there and let the room come to me. The waiter smiled like he was in on something. Refilled my cup before I thought to ask. Outside the rain was making its opinion known. In here the only weather was the piano. Honey, except to show up and receive them gracefully. The girl at the lucky table, letting the good corner do its work, swing into the stillness, the whole room humming underneath. Sha-la-la, second cup, and nowhere else to be just like this. Everything coming easy, so settled. A man proposed 2 tables over badly but sincerely. She said yes before he finished, which was the right call. The whole room knew without being told, and went quietly back to their own good evenings. Darling, joy is contagious in the best rooms. Sit somewhere lucky long enough, and it finds you too. The girl at the lucky table, letting the good corner do its work, swing into the stillness, the whole room humming underneath. Sha-la-la, second cup, and nowhere else to be just like this. Everything coming easy, so settled. Somewhere between the second and third cup, I took that personally and was grateful. The girl at the lucky table, come back every Wednesday and see what finds you. Keep on swinging, baby. The best luck shows up where you least expect to deserve it. Sha-la-la, back in that same corner, same cup, same quiet, same grace. Warm rooms and good corners and grace. Tipped well and then it walked out into clear skies. The girl at the lucky table, luck hell, luck hell. Nobody goes to the market on a Tuesday, which is exactly why I do. The vendors have time to talk, and the tomatoes aren't performing for anyone. The cheese man saves me the good and peace without me asking, which means we have an understanding. The flower woman threw in mint last week, said it looked like a mint kind of day, and she was right. Honey, a market is just a neighborhood, deciding to be honest about what it needs. The long wait round the market, stopping at every stall that smells interesting. Swing into the morning, the basket filling up with small good things. Sha-la-la, bread still warm, and somebody's homemade jam. Just because this is what a Tuesday is for, so wander. Old man at the end sells nothing I have ever needed, but I stop anyway because his stories are worth the detour. Last week he told me about a summer in '54 that made me wish I'd been there, and somehow I almost was. Darling, the things worth buying at a market are never the things that brought you there. The long way round the market, stopping at every stall that smells interesting, swing into the morning, the basket filling up with small good things. Sha-la-la, bread still warm, and somebody's homemade jam, just because this is what a Tuesday is for, so wonder. Sat on the steps and ate a peach I shouldn't have bought. Best decision of the entire week. The long way round the market, come back next Tuesday and take it even slower. Keep on swinging, baby. The best mornings are the ones with no particular destination. Sha-la-la. Back through that same entrance, same cheese man, same mint, same wondering. Warm bread and unhurried mornings and grace. Walked home the long way too, obviously. The long way around the market. Same time next week, same time next week. Woke up to the whole neighborhood coming in. Birds and someone's radio and fresh cut grass. Lay there without moving, deciding that was enough for a while. Curtains doing their best impression of dancing. Morning light arriving in no particular hurry. Coffee made itself somehow, or I made it half asleep. Either way, it was exactly right. Honey, some mornings walking uninvited and turn out to be exactly what you needed. Somebody left the window open, the whole world just wandered in. Swing into the breeze, let the morning rearrange the room a little. Sha-la-la, bird song and somebody's garden, and the smell of almost rain just here. No reason to close it now, so breathe. The cat found the square of sun on the floor and claimed it without ceremony or apology. I respected that and found my own square. We divided the morning between us equally. Darling, the best days start before you decide what kind of day you're gonna have. Somebody left the window open, the whole world just wandered in. Swing into the breeze, let the morning rearrange the room a little. Sha-la-la, bird song and somebody's garden, and the smell of almost rain just here. No reason to close it now, so breathe. Dee-doo-wah, dee-doo-wah. and it still worked. Somebody left the window open, leave it that way as long as the morning allows. Keep on swinging, baby, the outside world is better when it comes in on its own terms. Sha-la-la, back in that same bed, same light, same breeze, same unhurried Tuesday. Open windows and borrowed birdsong and grace. Closed it gently at noon when the heat arrived. Somebody left the window open. Good morning, good morning. Good morning, good morning. She kept everything in jam jars, buttons and coins, and one very patient spider plant. Said a good jar holds whatever you ask of it, without making a fuss, and that's the whole lesson. Row of them on the kitchen windowsill, catching light, each one a different shade of what was left over. Dried lavender from a summer she still thinks about, a note she's read enough times she doesn't need to anymore. Honey, the things worth keeping don't need to be anything more than what they are. The jam jar theory, everything has its right container. Swing into the small things, the ordinary ones holding the most light. Dee-doo-wah, glass and patience, and a windowsill that just keeps giving just like that. Enough is always enough, so keep. Taught me to make jam once on a rainy Saturday. Said the secret was not rushing the sugar. We talked the whole afternoon about nothing important, which turned out to be the most important afternoon in years. Darling, the best things get preserved when you give them enough warmth and time and don't look away. The jam jar theory, everything has its right container. Swing into the small things, the ordinary ones holding the most light. Dee-doo-wah, glass and patience, and a windowsill that just keeps giving just like that. Enough is always enough, so keep. Sha-la-la-la, 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 sha-la-la-la. She handed me a jar on the way out, said this one's got summer in it, use it wisely. The jam jar theory, find the right jar for the things worth holding on to. Keep on swinging, baby, the small collected things make up the whole beautiful life. Dee-doo-wah, back in that same kitchen, same windowsill, same lights, same jars, lavender and leftover summers and grace. Still have the jar, haven't opened it yet. The jam jar theory, saving it, saving it. It was his hat, originally wide brim navy blue slightly too big. Borrowed it one October evening, and somehow never found the right moment to give it back. Wore it on the walk home that first night. The way it sat made the whole city feel like a film set. Checked the mirror once and understood immediately. Some things fit better the second time around. Honey, possession is 9/10 of the hat, and I've had it 3 years, so the math works out. The hat she never returned, sitting on her head, exactly where it belongs. Swinging to the borrowed life, some things find the right owner late. Sha-la-la-la, navy brim, an autumn air, and a walk that just keeps feeling right, just like this. Finders, keepers, darling, so wear it. He never asked for it back, which told her something. Either he was too polite or he liked the way it looked. She chose to believe the second, because it made the hat mean more and the story better. Darling, the things that come to you sideways often fit better than the ones you went looking for. The hat she never returned, sitting on her head, exactly where it belongs. Swinging to the borrowed life, some things find the right owner late. Sha-la-la-la, navy brim, an autumn air, and a walk that just keeps feeling right, just like this. Finders, keepers, darling, so wear it. Dee-doo-ah, 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 Ran into him last spring, wearing a new one. He looked at hers and smiled without saying anything. The hat she never returned, wear it everywhere and wear it without apology. Keep on swinging, baby, the best things in life arrive without a receipt anyway. Sha-la-la, back on that same autumn street, same brim, same long walk, same smile. Navy blue and happy accidents and grace. Still on the hook by the door, still fits just right. The hat she never returned, not giving it back, not giving it back. Grandma's cake never tasted the same twice, and everyone agreed it was always perfect. Turns out she eyeballed everything and called it a pinch, when she meant a handful. Found the recipe card in the tin above the stove, half the instructions crossed out and rewritten. One note in the margin said, trust yourself here, which is either cooking advice or something bigger. Honey, the best recipes are the ones that leave room for whoever's making them. The recipe she memorized wrong, turning out right every single time. Swinging to the kitchen, flour on the counter, doing what flour does. Sha-la-la, a handful of this and something close to that, just like she showed me. Never quite the same, so perfect. Tried to write it down properly once with measurements. Tasted like a recipe instead of a memory. Threw the notes away and used my hands, closed my eyes and let the kitchen tell me when. Darling, some knowledge lives in the hands, not the head, and that's exactly where it belongs. The recipe she memorized wrong, turning out right every single time. Swinging to the kitchen, flour on the counter, doing what flour does. Sha-la-la, a handful of this and something close to that, just like she showed me. Never quite the same, so perfect. Pulled it from the oven and stood there a moment. Smelled exactly like her kitchen in October. The recipe she memorized wrong, make it for someone who needs a good afternoon. Keep on swinging, baby. The things passed down imperfectly are the most perfectly kept. Sha-la-la, back in that same kitchen, same tin, same margin notes, same hands. Flour and inherited instinct and grace. Lick the spoon, just like she always did. The recipe she memorized wrong. Close enough, close enough. Missed my stop on purpose, or close enough to purpose that it counts. The train kept going and I let it. Sometimes that's the whole plan. Ended up somewhere with a name I half recognized, from a conversation I only half remembered. Walked out of the station into somebody else's evening and decided to borrow it for a while. Honey, getting lost on purpose is just adventure with a return ticket in your pocket. 3 stops past home, somewhere new and perfectly unplanned. Swing into the unknown, the unfamiliar street, doing its best to charm. Dee-doo-ah, wrong neighborhood, right feeling, and a corner that just called out, just like that. Nowhere to be but here, so wonder. Found a bakery doing its last hour of business. The woman behind the counter sold me everything left at half price. Walked out with more than I came with, which seems like a metaphor, but was mostly just bread. Darling, the best things waiting for you are always 3 stops past where you thought you were going. 3 stops past home, somewhere new and perfectly unplanned. familiar street, doing its best to charm. Dee-doo-wah, wrong neighborhood, right feeling, and a corner that just called out, just like that. Nowhere to be but here, so wander. Sha-la-la-la, sha-la-la-la. Flugelhorn solo. Sha-da-da-da-da-da-da-da. Sat on a bench I'd never sat on before, ate the bread and watched somebody else's neighborhood do its evening. 3 stops past home, right past your stop at least once a month just to see. Keep on swinging, baby, the version of you that wanders finds the best things. Dee-doo-wah, back on that same train, same misstop, same good accident, same bread, unfamiliar streets and happy detours and gray. Caught the train back eventually, smelled like somebody else's bakery. 3 stops past home, worth every stop, worth every stop. Found it on the end rail at the back of the shop, the kind of find that makes you look around, like someone must have left it there on purpose for exactly this particular Tuesday. Silk the color of a good evening, with buttons that suggested the original owner knew something about making an entrance, and left that knowledge in the lining. Honey, a dress with history fits differently than one that hasn't lived yet. The second-hand dress, somebody's best night out, becoming mine. Swing into the silk, the past and present sharing a seam. Sha-la-la, buttons done up and somebody's confidence just inherited, wearing it forward, so shine. Wondered about the woman who wore it first, what room she walked into and who noticed, whether the evening lived up to the dress. It must have, she wouldn't have kept it otherwise. Darling, the things that meant something once have a way of meaning something again in the right hands. The second-hand dress, somebody's best night out, becoming mine. Swing into the silk, the past and present sharing a seam. Sha-la-la, buttons done up and somebody's confidence just inherited, wearing it forward, so shine. Dee-doo-wah, sha-la-la. Dee-doo-wah, sha-la-la. Caught my reflection on the way out, stood a little taller the second-hand dress. Wear it somewhere worthy of what it's already seen. Keep on swinging, baby. The best things carry stories. You get to add to sha-la-la. Back in that same shop, same end rail, same silk, same Good Tuesday. Inherited elegance and the story still going, and grace hung it up carefully like it deserved that. The second-hand dress still got it, still got it. Never met the woman who tends it, but I know her through the roses. Pink ones that come over the fence in June, like they couldn't help themselves, and I understand that. She plants in straight rows, which tells you something about the kind of mind that also bakes on Thursdays. The lavender does what lavender does, which is make everything within range briefly perfect. Honey, a well-kept garden next door is a gift you never asked for and can't repay. The garden next door, somebody else's love, spilling over the fence, swinging to the bloom. The rose is not asking permission to be beautiful. Sha-la-la, June and lavender and petals on my side of the wall, just because beauty doesn't stop at property lines, so receive. Left a jar of jam on her step last autumn. No, because the jam said everything. Found a bunch of sweet peas on mine the following week. We've been having this conversation ever since. Darling, the best neighborhoods run on small anonymous kindnesses and seasonal flowers. The garden next door, somebody else's love, spilling over the fence, swinging to the bloom. The rose is not asking permission to be beautiful. Sha-la-la, June and lavender and petals on my side of the wall, just because beauty doesn't stop at property lines, so receive. Dee-doo-ah. Saw her once through the kitchen window, just her back moving slowly between the rows. The garden next door leaves something nice on the step, and see what comes back. Keep on swinging, baby. The kindness that asks nothing in return grows the tallest. Sha-la-la, back at that same fence, same roses, same June, same wordless conversation. Pink roses and sweet peas and grace. The lavender came through again this year, right on schedule. The garden next door, still blooming, still blooming, still blooming. Caught myself doing it at 9:30. spatula in one hand, sealing for an audience. The cat watched from the counter with the expression of someone who has seen this before. Radio landed on something with a good horn line, and the feet just made their own arrangements. Sauce on the stove doing fine without me for approximately 3.5 minutes. Honey, the kitchen at night with nobody watching is the freest stage there is, and I stand by that. Dancing alone in the kitchen again, spatula keeping time with the brass, swinging to the linoleum. The tiles have seen worse and said nothing. Dee-doo-ah. Steam and a horn line and a cat who pretends not to watch, just like always. Nobody's judging in here, so move. The neighbors probably know by now, the shadow in the window tells the whole story. Nobody has said anything, which means either they approve or they've given up entirely. And both are fine, darling. A woman who dances in her kitchen has figured out something the rest of the world is still working on. Dancing alone in the kitchen again, spatula keeping time with the brass, swinging to the linoleum. The tiles have seen worse and said nothing. Dee-doo-ah. Steam and a horn line and a cat who pretends not to watch, just like always. Nobody's judging in here, so move. Sha-la-la-la. Mm-mm. Sha-la-la-la. Mm-mm. Sha-la-la-la. Mm-mm. Sha-la-la-la. Sha-la-la-la. Sha-la-la-la-la-la. Sha-la-la-la-la-la. Burnt the onions slightly during the good bit, worth it completely, and I would do it again. Dancing alone in the kitchen again, teach the spatula every new step you learn. Keep on swinging, baby, the best dancing happens where nobody gave you permission. Dee-doo-ah. Back on that same linoleum, same horn, same cat, same 9:30. Burnt onions and no apologies, and grace 8 standing up, still humming, dancing alone in the kitchen again. Same time tomorrow. Same time tomorrow. Same time tomorrow. 12 drafts and still not right. The problem wasn't finding the words, it was finding the ones that were true, without being the ones that were too true. Started it at the kitchen table with good intentions, moved to the window when the light got better, ended up on the floor with a cup of cold tea, which is where the honest ones always seem to happen. Honey, a letter worth sending takes as long as it takes, and not 1 minute less. The letter she started in September, still becoming what it needs to be, swinging to the words, the right ones arriving just behind the wrong ones. Sha-la-la, crossing out and starting over, just one more draft, just closer. Saying it true takes time, so right. The thing she wanted to say was simple enough. It was the getting there that kept rearranging itself. Some sentences carry more than they look like they should, and those are the ones that need the most handling. Darling, the letters that matter most are the ones that make you sit back down and try again. the letter she started in September, still becoming what it needs to be. Swinging to the words, the right ones arriving just behind the wrong one. Sha-la-la, crossing out and starting over. Just one more draft, just closer. Saying it true takes time, so right. Dee-doo-wah, dee-doo-ba-da-ba-da, dee-doo-ba-da-ba-da. October came and she was still at the window, but the letter was starting to sound like her. The letter she started in September, finish it whenever it finally tells you it's ready. Keep on swinging, baby, the things worth saying deserve every draft they asked for. Sha-la-la, back at that same window, same floor, same cold tea, same 12 attempts. Honest words and patient revisions and grace. Seal it on a Tuesday in November. Walk to the post box before she could reconsider. The letter she started in September, finally sent, finally sent. Only comes out once a week, which makes Sundays feel like they deserve it. Sits on the top shelf like it knows its own value, and honestly it does. Powder blue with a ribbon that ties just so. Took 3 shops and 1 very patient afternoon to find the woman who sold it. Said this one was waiting, said it like she meant it, and she clearly did. Honey, certain things are worth saving for the one day a week that earns them. The Sunday hat, powder blue and entirely the point. Swing into the morning, the whole week building to this brim. Sha-la-la, ribbon tied just right and somewhere worth going, just like Sunday, dressed for the day, so wear it. The congregation knows it by now, can spot it 3 pews back without looking. Old Mrs. Henderson said it made her happy every single week, which is more than most things manage in a lifetime. Darling, something that makes an old woman smile every Sunday for 7 years is doing its job beautifully. The Sunday hat, powder blue and entirely the point. Swing into the morning, the whole week building to this brim. Sha-la-la, ribbon tied just right and somewhere worth going, just like Sunday, dressed for the day, so wear it. Sha-la-la, sha-la-la. Caught my reflection in the church window, stood there longer than was strictly necessary. the Sunday hat, put it on and let the day rise up to meet it. Keep on swinging, baby. The things that make you feel like yourself are sacred. Sha-la-la. Back on that same shelf, same ribbon, same powder blue, same Sunday. Good hats and better mornings and grays. Back on the shelf by afternoon, already looking forward to next week. The Sunday hat. See you Sunday. See you Sunday. See you Sunday. See you Sunday. Walked past it every day for 6 months before I actually walked in. The steam on the window looked so certain of itself that eventually I had to know what it knew. 12 kinds of tea written on a chalkboard in handwriting that suggested someone enjoyed writing it. The woman behind the counter didn't rush me, which after 6 months of being rushed felt revolutionary. Honey, a place that lets you take your time is telling you something important about time. The tea shop on the corner, steam on the window saying come in and mean it. Swing into the warmth the whole afternoon, rearranging itself around a cup. Dee-doo-ah, 12 kinds of tea, and one very unhurried afternoon, just settling in. Stay as long as it steams, so stay. The second cup came without asking, which is the international language of you belong here. Read the whole paper for the first time in months. The news seemed less urgent through the steam. Somehow, darling, the right cup of tea in the right room solve more problems than most people give it credit for. The tea shop on the corner, steam on the window saying come in and mean it. Swing into the warmth the whole afternoon, rearranging itself around the cup. Dee-doo-ah, 12 kinds of tea, and one very unhurried afternoon, just settling in. Stay as long as it steams, so stay. Sha-la-la, sha-da-da-da-da. The rain started somewhere between the second and third cup, stayed for a fourth on purely meteorological grounds. The tea shop on the corner, come in whenever the window looks certain of itself. Keep on swinging, baby, the small warm rooms are holding the whole world together. Dee-doo-ah, back through that same door, same steam, same 12 choices, same afternoon, Earl Grey, and unhurried Tuesdays and grace. Walked out into the cleared up evening, already planning tomorrow. The tea shop up on the corner, second cup waiting, second cup technically, but the rocking chair fit me like it had opinions. The neighbors never said anything, which I choose to read as an invitation. Dust doing what dust does best around here, turning everything a color that doesn't have a proper name. Fireflies starting their shift right on schedule, the whole evening clocking in without being asked. Honey, a porch at dusk is the world's way of suggesting you slow down, or it will slow you down anyway. Somebody's porch at dusk, rocking chair and the whole sky going golden, swinging to the evening. The fireflies doing all the decoration, sha-la-la cricket song and somebody's wind chime, just the right distance away, just right. Nothing needs doing right now, so rock. The dog from next door installed himself at my feet without introduction or explanation. We watched a cloud move across the last of the light. Together he seemed satisfied, and honestly, so was I. Darling, contentment sometimes arrives in the shape of someone else's dog at golden hour. Somebody's porch at dusk, rocking chair and the whole sky going golden, swinging to the evening. The fireflies doing all the decoration, sha-la-la cricket song and somebody's wind chime, just the right distance away, just right. Nothing needs doing right now, so rock. Before the sky was ready, we both pretended not to notice for a while. Somebody's porch at dusk, find yourself a rocking chair and a willing horizon. Keep on swinging, baby. The evenings that ask nothing give back the most. Sha-la-la, back on that same porch, same chair, same dog, same unhurried dusk. Fireflies and borrowed porches and grace. When the stars outnumbered the light, left the chair still rocking a little. Somebody's porch at dusk, same time tomorrow, same time tomorrow. Started sweeping floors and ended up with a needle and 40 yards of ribbon. Nobody planned it that way. The hat shop just decided and she agreed. Madame Elise ran the workroom like a quiet orchestra, every stitch placed like it was auditioning. Taught her that a hat isn't decoration, it's the first thing a room notices and the last thing it forgets. Honey, learning at the hands of someone who loves their craft gets into you in a way a classroom never quite manages. The milliner's apprentice, shaping felt around a wooden block with both hands, swing into the craft every brim, a conversation between form and intention. Dee-doo-wah, ribbon and wire and a feather placed just so, just like Madam showed her, making heads turn gently, so shape. First hat she made entirely alone sat slightly wrong. Madam looked at it a long time without saying anything, then adjusted it half an inch to the left, and somehow everything about it changed completely. Darling, mastery is knowing which half inch makes all the difference, and having the patience to find it. The milliner's apprentice, shaping felt around a wooden block with both hands, swing into the craft every brim, a conversation between form and intention. Dee-doo-wah, ribbon and wire and a feather placed just so, just like Madam showed her, making heads turn gently, so shape. Sha-la-la-la, dee-doo-wah, sha-la-la-la, dee-doo-wah, sha-la-la-la, 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 dee-doo-doo-wah. Madam put the finished hat in the window herself, stood back and nodded once like a full sentence. The milliner's apprentice, one day the workroom will be yours and you'll know what to do. Keep on swinging, baby, the craft worth learning takes every hour you give it. Sha-la-la, back at that same wooden block, same ribbon, same half inch, same everything. Felt and feathers and inherited precision and grace. Swept the floor at closing, found a ribbon she kept. The milliner's apprentice, still learning, almost ready. Found one at the bottom of the bowl, slightly past its best and completely perfect. The kind of ripe that only lasts a day, and you either catch it or you miss it forever. Took it to the back steps with the paper towel, because some things deserve the outdoors. The juice ran down before I was ready, which is exactly how summer always leaves. Honey, the last one is always the sweetest, because you know while it's happening that it's the last one. The last peach of summer, standing on the back steps saying goodbye properly. Swing into the sweetness, let it run down your chin and mean it. Sha-la-la, warm skin and juice and a September sun just holding on, just like this. Taste it all the way down, so savor. The trees already turning at the edges, giving you fair warning the way good things do. Next week it'll be apple weather and soup weather, and that's fine, but not yet, and not today. Darling, the seasons don't ask permission to change, so you'd better be paying attention when the last peach arrives. flowers, the last peach of summer, standing on the back steps saying goodbye properly. Swing into the sweetness, let it run down your chin and mean it. Sha-la-la. Warm skin and juice and a September sun just holding on just like this. Taste it all the way down, so savor. Sha-la-la-la, sha-la-la-la. Stood there after it was gone, just holding the paper towel and the memory. The last peach of summer, show up for the last one the way you showed up for the first. Keep on swinging, baby, the sweetest things go fastest, so stay present while they're here. Sha-la-la. Back on those same steps, same bowl, same September, same goodbye. Juice-stained fingers and grateful goodbyes and grace. When inside, when the air changed, apple weather coming, the last peach of summer. Until next year, until next year.
Every Friday, without exception, she bought herself flowers, not the expensive ones, not the practical ones, the ones that made her stop walking. Said nobody was coming to bring them, so she decided to be the somebody. Unwrapped them at the kitchen table, took the whole thing seriously, which is the only way. Honey, buying yourself flowers on a Friday is a philosophy, not a purchase. The florist Friday ritual, one bunch for no reason except the week earned it. Swinging to the weekend, petals opening right on schedule. Sha-la-la, water in the good vase, and a spot by the window just because, just always. Nobody needs a reason, so bloom. Tried explaining it once to someone who asked, said flowers make a room feel visited, like the week stopped by to say something nice. He thought about it and said that's exactly right. Darling, a room with flowers in it believes in itself slightly more than a room without. The florist Friday ritual, one bunch for no reason except the week earned it. Swinging to the weekend, petals opening right on schedule. Sha-la-la, water in the good vase, and a spot by the window just because, just always. Nobody needs a reason, so bloom. By Sunday they were fully open, the whole room standing a little straighter. The florist Friday ritual, pick something that makes you stop walking every single week. Keep on swinging, baby, the small ceremonies you keep for yourself hold everything together. Sha-la-la, back at that same stall, same Friday, same good face, same window, same bloom. Fresh stems and personal Fridays and grace. Monday they were still going, lasted longer than expected. The florist Friday ritual, next Friday already. Next Friday already.
She ran the library clock, which sounds like a small job, until you understand that every reader inside was living in her time. Opened at 9 with a key that needed both hands. Closed at 6 with the same ceremony in reverse. In between, she held the silence like it was her personal responsibility, which it was, and she knew it. Honey, the person who keeps the quiet is doing the most important work in any room. The woman who kept the hours, winding the clock that kept the readers in time, swinging to the silence, every tick a small permission to go deeper. Sha-la-la, pages turning and the clock doing its quiet work, just holding steady. Time well kept is time well spent. So red knew every regular by their reading speed, could tell by the page count where they were in their story. Left the good chair by the window for the ones who needed it most, without making anyone feel like they'd been watched, which took real skill. Darling, genuine care looks invisible from the outside, and that's exactly how she liked it. The woman who kept the hours, winding the clock that kept the readers in time, swinging to the silence, every tick a small permission to go deeper. Sha-la-la, pages turning and the clock doing its quiet work, just holding steady. Time well kept is time well spent. So red. Dee-doo-wah, dee-doo-wah, dee-doo-wah. 5:59, she'd stand at the clock, one hand ready and one eye on the room. The woman who kept the hours, come in and give her your best reading afternoon. Keep on swinging, baby. The people who hold the time hold everything worth having. Sha-la-la, back through that same door, same clock, same silence, same steady hands, wine springs and borrowed hours and grace. Locked up at 6, the clock kept going without her. The woman who kept the hours, right on time, right on time. Grew up counting flashes instead of sheep. Knew the foghorn like a second heartbeat. The mainland was a rumor that sometimes arrived by boat on Thursdays. Learned to read the weather in the clouds before the radio did. Knew which birds meant which kind of coming storm. The rocks had names, she gave them all herself, and they answered when the tide was right. Honey, growing up at the edge of everything teaches you exactly how much the middle doesn't need you.